Alright, well, for this project we're going to need some dollar store white foam, aluminum foil. I use some wood glue. I use some of this hardboard. You could use chipboard, a little piece of wood, maybe a paint stick, paint stirring stick, maybe some little files, maybe some tissue paper, some newspaper, and again I will go through my scrap box, pull out large pieces of scrap pink foam. I will cut some larger sheets. A lot of this is done with like large blocks of foam put together, so I usually buy my foam, it's almost 1 inch thick and it's 24 inch by 24 inch, 2 foot square. I just cut little pieces off that as I need. We're going to get started today. It's going to be very simple. We're just going to glue together a block with a piece of wood in it, and then put a top on top of it of pink foam, determining our height. I'm out of here at the bandsaw. I drew my arch. I'll be able to see it. I just want to warn everybody, cutting your foam blocks on the bandsaw like this can be dangerous if you do not know what you're doing or have practice doing it. I highly recommend you keep your saw off and think about each and every cut you want to take and where your hands or your fingers have to be to make clean cuts. I do that quite a bit just to make sure. And also remember, air cuts faster than anything. So I just added some little feet to the bottom. It's going to kind of match up like this on the next piece. You can see I scribed my little lines across the top of this. A little line here. This is what I'm going to cut first. Try to arch into this a little bit. You can see my little layout that I did here. This was the cutoff piece on one of the sides that I'm attaching this to. So it might not be a bad idea to save some of your cutoff pieces. This will be the next step. This is going away. There's a step here all the way down. And the way we're going to achieve this is we're just going to cut on these lines, separating each piece, and then we'll just trim them. Kind of see my little layers kind of drawn out. We'll trim off whatever we need to as we go along. It kind of fits together like a puzzle now. So this piece is normal. This piece needs a 1/4 inch taken off. Alright, here's the pieces I just cut. These two I've already glued together. I textured the top, a little bit of that front edge. I'll do that each time. You know, little aluminum ball for some texture. Not hitting the back edge, but just the front edge. sides a little bit, corner. As you see here, my little arch, I've been sanding it down with the electric sander. Kind of burns it more than sands it. You can use this still. The sander is much smoother. Don't recommend it. I didn't like the way it worked. I thought I would be able to sand it down a little bit more like wood, but the foam just heats up too much. More like burning it. Then you burn the hot glue. Cutting it on the bandsaw is no problem, really, it just cuts right through it. So you'll have to take your cutter and cut away from you. So you get the shape that you want. I'm twisting my knife like this as I do this to pull out. Make sure you don't put your hand in front of your knife. It'll cut you just as quick as the bandsaw will. Air cuts faster than anything, meaning when your blade exits the material, it's moving faster. Helps to lock it in place too. See my tracks coming along. Something I'm going to want to do with this area. I'm going to join this here, bring it out a little bit. I didn't like the way it looked otherwise, so we're going to build up a little wall on this side somehow. I'm going to use the aluminum foil. I thought it was a little bit easier to work with, give me a little bit stronger of a structure. I just want a nice aluminum wall or build up a little bit of structure right there. pretty far along. Just cut a little bit more on the bandsaw right off this back edge. Just took a few blocks, put them together, cut a little arch into this one. This was a separate piece. I cut it this wide first, and I didn't like it, so I cut it a little bit deeper. Now I'm going to glue this right to here. And I'm going to take the time and I'm going to outline my design that I want. I might even notch this right here a little bit on this inner side right through here for this. And maybe then tilt this and turn this different ways to do different setups. Just make sure you put your little line through here, and then I'm going to take it to the bandsaw, and I'm actually going to tilt the blade on the bandsaw, and I'm just going to follow this around with the tilted blade so it kilters in to the bottom, so the top will be wider than the bottom. So here's what I ended up after cutting on the bandsaw. Cut a little bit out from underneath the bottom down here. Remember, I'm twisting my blade a little bit. You do that to all the areas. So far, this is the layout. It's a nice long piece of my track. It'll be 24 inches long by about 6 inches wide. These are some cut off pieces of one of the 2 foot by 2 foot pink foam sheets that I get. Whiteboard. I pulled the paper off this surface. I'm going to glue this edge to this and make this all sand probably in this area. These won't be glued down, they'll just set in here. That way you can pick them up and put them on different sceneries or use them in other scenarios that you may come up with in your game design or your track design. Maybe you use just play mats and you just want to set them on the mats themselves. That way you can do that. Right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a weight on here, glue these edges on. You could even do your brick design if you want to on the outside of these, but I'm not. I'm just going to leave them this way. I want to keep this track as flat as I can. This is a part of my lathe. I'm just going to put that on there for some extra weight when I glue this down. I'm going to make sure I attach the flattest side. Then you can do hot glue dabs and then white glue. I'm just going to do a strip of hot glue all the way across. Here's the track design. You'll be able to go underneath. Probably scoot this over just a little bit. Along this side, underneath here, up top. What's nice about this is you can flip it either way. If you want it on a right hand side or a left hand side, you just flip. This becomes the top or the bottom, depending on which way you want the track to lay. as it goes around. I'm just gonna work some more designs into these pieces before I paint them. Maybe even put a little paper mache on some of them.